Saturday and I'm going to work, and I wanted to record this Salty on Religion for tomorrow so I can upload it tonight. But I just wanted to show God's grace and beauty. It's 70 degrees, beautiful weather, don't need AC, joggers are out, bicyclists are out, enjoying the day that the Lord has made. And sometimes miracles are all around you. You just have to be present to them, be aware of them, and enjoy. This is, God made the world for us to enjoy. So that's kind of what what today's religion or religious talk is going to be about. So let me turn the camera around. Well, maybe, I don't know. Well, you're going to see the highway here in a little bit, so let me turn the camera around and you can look at my ugly mug while I talk instead of looking at the highway. Hold on. Anyway, small miracles. It's kind of an oxymoron. Look it up. Small miracles. Yes, there are miracles of different scales, and the fact that it's a miracle is no small feat. I'm not going to give you the Webster's dictionary definition of what a miracle is, but it means different things to different people. For some, it's a man who should be dead or who died but came back to life, right? Like Lazarus. That's a miracle. Turning water into wine, that's a miracle. In fact, that was supposedly the first documented miracle that Jesus performed at the wedding. But I take a look back at my life and I see things that just kind of happened that I took for granted. But when I really look back and analyze, it's a miracle that any of it happened. And I kind of touched on these before when I was talking about connecting the dots, right? And I want to revisit that a little bit more, in that I consider those small miracles, albeit big miracles, for me. But the fact that I'm here today, I believe there's a lot of miracles that brought me to this point in time today. Let's start at the beginning. Well, at the beginning of what I can remember anyway. I grew up, well, I wouldn't say grew up, but I was born in Vietnam during the height of the Vietnam War. And, we saw stories, news stories, of schools getting blown up, and, that there was an everyday occurrence. Death was an everyday occurrence. Because we had one news channel or one television channel, and it came on at 6 o'clock at night, and I think it ran till like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It wasn't it wasn't 24/7 like in the U.S. But the opening show was the news, and it was kind of sad that it was commonplace, but you heard reports of this school got blown up, that school got blown up, people getting killed. There was really no happy news. And as a kid, I didn't really understand the politics part of the news or anything. I just understood that, hey, when I go to school tomorrow, there's a good chance that my school might get blown up. That was just a fact of life, and I didn't really fret. It was just one of, kind of like kids growing up in the 50s with the duck and cover, right? It was just a fact of life. But life goes on. So for me, it was a miracle that the school that I went to never got blown up. And of course, it might have been overstated. Schools, getting blown up and stuff might have been overstated. But that was my reality. When the big evacuation happened in '75, somehow I found myself being able to evacuate with my family. Many didn't make it. Many people got left behind, and had to deal with whatever situation came about being left there. My brother goes back there now. Things have settled, and he said the younger generation, they don't understand. they don't understand that the war wasn't the United States versus Vietnam. They were taught that it was the Americans versus the Vietnamese. What did I say? They don't understand that it was, capitalism versus communism. They were taught that it was America versus Vietnam, and they really weren't taught that it was, Vietnamese fighting colonial French. that kind of sparked it all, because of course when the communists won, they got control of the education system, and they taught what they wanted to teach, right? The winner gets to make the history books, and in that case the communists were the winners, and they taught whatever they thought was appropriate to teach. But as with anything, as time passes, I wouldn't say healed all the wounds, but people forget, or the message doesn't have as much relevance as it used to, because people, the younger generation, didn't go through the struggle or what the perceived struggle was. Anyway, that's off topic. The next small miracle was just the fact that, the chain of events that happened to me. There were a lot of situations where I should have been dead, just out of my own stupidity. But I think I really felt the hand of God now working in my life, in that I left home when I was 16 years old, because I was the smartest person in the world. One of my teachers, he had a poster that said, "Teenagers, why don't you leave home now while you still know everything?" And I thought I did. And I wouldn't say I knew everything, but I thought I knew enough to get by, right? So one night I had to go to work, and my mom, she did the best she could with what she had, and she says, "What time are you coming home tonight?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, I got to work." And she said, "Well, you need to be home by 9, or don't come home at all." It just didn't happen overnight. It kind of accumulated. It kind of built up to that situation, and I was not the most obedient son in the world, but anyway, she was kind of at her last straw, and she grew up in a different culture, and I didn't live up to the construct of the culture that she understood. So we had a culture battle, so to speak, and anyway, I decided, well, I'll show her, I just won't come home then. So before I had to go to work, not that I had a big career job that I was going to. I think I was bag boy at a grocery store. But my shift ended at 11, and I knew I wasn't going to make it home at 9, but instead of explaining to her that, well, my shift doesn't end till 11, I can't make it home by 9, I decided, I was hard-headed, and I said, I'm not, fine, if that's the way you're going to be, I'll show you. So I packed everything I own in a big sheet. Clothes, mainly just clothes, a couple of items, non-clothing items. Threw them in a big sheet, bundled them up, and put them in the car, drove away. And that was the start of my adventure on my own at 16. Now, where did I live? Well, that's another story. But, the whole time, I felt it was, you felt scared but excited at the same time. But the whole time I maybe because of my ignorance, but I had a strange peace about me. It was like I needed to do this, and the only thing I can attribute to is that God was looking out for me, and I made it through there by a large miracle. He put people in my path, so to speak, that took care of me, that helped keep me safe, and guide me. I will say that there were friends and their families that took me in, that gave me a roof over my head, fed me, and I am forever grateful for them for taking care of me in that stage of my life where I was ready to self-destruct. But, God wasn't ready for me to self-destruct yet. And I was able to graduate, keep going to high school. I was able to graduate from high school. And at that, and by the time I graduated high school, I was able to make amends with my mother. Not completely. We were able to talk again and, and be civil with each other. But it wasn't until later on in my life, I can't remember, I think it was before I had kids. But it would make more sense if it was after I had kids. But anyway, at some point in my life, I went back and I was talking to my mother, and I told her, I am so sorry that I was an idiot and put you through all that, because as a parent myself now, I realize what parents do for their children just out of the sheer love for their children. And it may not always seem that way from the child's perspective, because we have our own motivations, and we don't always see the big picture because of our limited experience. But that's another story too. But I wasn't the most I wasn't the smartest tool, or I wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. So that in and of itself shows that God has a plan for everybody. God can use you even though you're not the sharpest tool in the shed at that point in your life. And I'm not saying I'm the sharpest tool in the shed right now either. But I have enough going on in here to get by, and hopefully keep going for a few more years. But just as I said at the beginning of the video, take a look around you, take a look, in your past and see, and take a look at times where things could have gone really badly, but didn't. Or they got bad, but then they started to get better before something tragic happened, or maybe something tragic did happen, but good came about it. And maybe I'll revisit the bad things happen to good people subject later. But every day, miracles. You know, every day I wake up and I get to hug and kiss my family and have a job to go to, and be able to afford things. Sleeping in my bed, to me, you know, that's some days it is a miracle. To be able to sleep in a comfortable bed, have clean water, food to eat. You know, in the U.S., yes, people go hungry, but for the most part, the U.S. doesn't really know poverty like other countries. Before you start, you know, telling me different, take a look at other countries, even as close as Mexico. You know, it's a reality for a lot of people to not even have hot and cold running water in America, or even any running water or indoor plumbing. So, you know, those are blessings and miracles to me at the same time. So, that's about it. I'm close to my destination, and thanks for joining me today, and I hope you have a blessed day. God bless. Take care.